back isn't changing either. Back there. Welcome, everybody. I am the voice, Greg Morano, alongside producer owner Shane Belanger. We have Lisa behind the lens just in front of us. Together, we are Westerly.live, and we are at Federico Gymnasium here in Westerly, about to start only a few seconds away as the officials get the final starting lineups. Not too much time for introductions. We'll do plenty of catching up on that. We got two excited teams ready to play here. It's not an ordinary start time. Block Island has come to town, the Hurricanes. So we have the hosting Bulldogs versus the Hurricanes of Block Island. Bulldogs on a very good winning streak at the moment, having dropped only the first game this year to Central Falls and are now currently on a 5-game winning streak. The official is at her post. The cross-court official is taking care of some final details. Anyway, back to the season thus far for the Bulldogs. They dropped game one at home versus Central Falls. Nobody can really blame them. Game one of a long break. And since then, they have simply not lost. They have played 5 games since that day and have won all 5 matches. They traveled to Woonsocket on Monday night and took care of them at 3-1. And that brings us to here. The Bulldogs with a 5-1 record, tied by numbers with division leading Central Falls. As we start here, Beal bumps it back and Peliquin dumps it over. And Block Island can't handle it. Wesley gets the first points of the game. So we'll get more into the Bulldog schedule as we go along. We have a loud gym. Like I said, it's an unordinary start time. School just got out, so we do have students, and students are loud. Westerly is an animated team as it is. Beal with a nice serve. Handled well, set by the Hurricanes. Spike's going to go long, and that's going to be a Bulldog point. Don't get me wrong, I am going to be plain to say it's going to be an uphill battle for the Islanders today. The Bulldogs are a very good team. They're a complete team. And the serve by Beal. Beauty deep and hard, and the bump is straight up. And that bump set is going to be back, and they're going to have to dump it over. Federico, and saved in the back by Simmons, but nobody's going to be able to put it back over. And Block Island gets their first point of the day, 2-1 score. So by numbers, they are tied for first place. They are listed in second because that one loss versus Central Falls to open the season is still their only loss, and they match records. So head-to-head, Central Falls has the advantage. That is handled by Riddler. Simmons, the soft spike. It looks like it's into me, and it is. Right on the line in. As I checked the monitor, the official sure did get it right. We have the replay, and yes, it is in. 3-1 Bulldogs. Serving for the Bulldogs, Ari Fazaro, the senior. Beal and Federico in front on the back line. And the serve is going to go short. 3-2 game here. Both teams sort of kind of getting into live action. Like I said, they just got out of school half hour, 45 minutes ago. And the serve for Block Island is going to be short. And that's 4-2. Side out. Back to the Bulldogs. And Julia Gervasini serving for the Bulldogs with a 4-2 lead. We are in game one of a best-of-5 match. The coach for Westerly has approached the official with something. And we'll see what they're discussing. And it looks like it's going to be all set, I believe. I think it has something to do with the net. And it may be on the mend or something, but nope, we're going to play. Here we go. Gervasini with the serve. And it's a hard knuckleball. Beautiful serve. Bumped into the net. Good job of Block Island getting it over. Great one-hander by Beal to a tough spot. Block Island able to keep it in the air. Got to dump it over and do. Gervasini with the bump. Beal with the set. It's going to be Federico. Spike gets, and it's too hard for the defense. I was about to say gets down in bounds, but the defense got a hand on it. 5-2 lead for the Bulldogs. We covered the Bulldogs last Friday night. One of their wins. 3-1. And everything has gotten quiet, except for me, as the head coach, I think has doctored the situation, whatever situation may have been, and we are ready to go. We have the whistle. 5-2 Bulldogs serve. Nice one, far side. Sliding, handled it beautifully by the Hurricanes. They end up having to dump it over, though. Gervasini with the bump, set by Beal. Simmons with the spike off the Islander hand. They can't handle it. Another Bulldog point. 6-2. So the Bulldogs nearing the midway point of the season. Obviously happy with what they've done thus far. And beautiful serve bumped backwards, and they're going to have to dump it over. They're able to do so. Handled in the back by Fazaro. Federico over to Riddler, and they can't handle it. Beautiful play by Federico to Riddler for the point for the Bulldogs. 7-2 score. Bulldogs a complete team. We covered last spring, which was kind of a warm-up to this season for them, as they had only one senior. Nice knuckleball serve. Bump by number 5 with Block Island. They're going to have to dump it back over. That angle does not exist, as it was just too far out of bounds and too close to the net. And now the Bulldogs starting to put a few together here. The score 8-2. This is 4 straight for Gervasini off the bench. 2 serve. And another beauty, deep corner. Bump to the middle of the set. Nice set it is. Spike attempt. They tried to block it, and they're going to have to dump it over. And they do. Great job by the Bulldogs. And bumped up and dumped over by the Hurricanes. Gervasini in the back. Federico with a bump straight over. And they can't handle it. Surprises them a little bit. Federico does with the bump over her head, causing a Hurricane timeout. The score Bulldogs 9, Hurricanes 2. This is game one of a best-of-5 game match. Bulldogs coming in 5 wins, 1 loss. Hurricanes coming in 1 win, 3 losses. After this game, the Bulldogs head to Central on the 1st of October for a league match. They have yet to play Central. The Bulldogs will play most teams in their division twice, so that means they will have another shot at Central Falls. Their only blemish thus far. That will be at Central Falls, because Central Falls did come here the first time. But if you look at their rankings in Division 3, they have 2 schools right below them with a record. We got Middletown with just 1 more loss, so only 1 game off, and Westerly still has to play them again. And then you have Situate with a 3-1 record, so they only have 1 loss. They have just played 2 less games, 3 after today, and they still have Situate on their schedule. And like I said, atop the division by the tiebreaker over Westerly is Central Falls, who they go to just 2 games from now on the 5th of October. Gervasini serves. Nice bump to number 4. The main net play by the Islanders is number 4, Amira Veldman Wilson, senior for the Hurricanes. Handles it inside out of the timeout for the Hurricanes, which is exactly what the doctor ordered. Number 15 set to serve. That would be Cora Ryan, sophomore for Block Island. And the serve, a nice one down the middle, handled by Fazaro. Set by Beal to Simmons, spike, back line, handled. Nice set and spike. And that's out of bounds, just out of bounds. That was by Wilson as well. She is the main play by the net thus far for the Hurricanes. The score 10-3 Bulldogs. And serving for the Bulldogs is Alex Storr, the sophomore. Wilson able to handle it, but a two-touch on their side, and the Bulldogs take the free point. Storr set to serve again, 11-3 score. Unique setup by the Hurricanes as far as defensively. Handled by Wilson, as most things are. They bump it over to the corner. Nice job by Gingarelli, and try to catch them off guard again. The Bulldogs do with the back set backwards, but it does not, and it turns into a side out for the Hurricanes. 11-4 score here in game 1. A race to 25, win by 2. And when I mean race, I mean race. Bulldogs already with 11 points, and we've only been playing for under 10 minutes. Storr with the back bump, and it ends up on Block Island side. They do their job at the net. Put it down, and that's a side out and a point for the Hurricanes. We have a substitution. We have 2 substitutions for the Bulldogs. In comes Summer Bruno. And Wilson with the jump serve. Tough to handle. Beal does at the net. And Storr gets to the other side. Beautiful job by Storr. Makes it difficult for them to handle. Backwards it goes, and it's a point for the Bulldogs and a quick side out, because it appears to me that not only is number 4 their best net player, but serving. She may be one of the better servers on the court today. Riddler's serve, a beauty. And a nice job by Block Island to handle it and get it over. Federico at the net, spike. Wilson handles it. Set. And it is soft over. And the Bulldogs do the same thing. Set back. Wilson to the back line. Gervasini handles it. Storr with the bump. And unable to handle it is Bruno. Side out goes, 12-6 score. Number 5, Chloe Weber, a senior, in on a great deal of the Hurricanes offense as well. Callie Weber, a junior, also up on the net for the Hurricanes. Number 10 serving, that's Campbell Coviello. Sliding job, great job by Bruno to keep that alive for the Bulldogs. Federico again keeps it alive, it's a back set. Bruno with the spot in front, and is bumped straight back over. Federico with the save at the net, point goes to the Bulldogs, the net was touched. Westerly a little out of rhythm, a little out of offense, a little out of sync. 12-7 score with the lead still. Not too much to worry about. You just got to make sure a game like this isn't anything like a trap game, because as the rematch to Central Falls creeps forward, I'm sure it's got a circle on the Bulldogs schedule. The serve, Tinkerelli handles. Set to Federico, tries to put it in the deep corner. Block Island covers it. Dumped over to the back line. Nice spot by Block Island. And unable to handle it. Bruno puts it off a little bit too far out of the reach of Federico. And a timeout by the Bulldogs, 12-8. We got a 4-point game here in game 1 here at Federico Gymnasium. We'll go off to a quick break here, folks, during the timeout. Welcome back, everybody. We are Westerly Live, and we are here at Federico Gymnasium in Westerly. The Bulldogs a little bit out of sync right now, coming out of their own timeout. They do have a 4-point lead, 12-8 here in game one. Momentum was on their side. I would say Block Island has stolen it for the moment. The lefty, nice little line drive serve, just clears the net. Bulldogs able to return it. Number 8 for Block Island finds a nearly impossible spot for the Bulldogs in the back corner. That's Callie Weber, the junior. I'm going to guess Callie and Chloe, possibly sisters. A junior-senior combo on Block Island, both starters, number 10. Coviello serving. Just over the net again. That actually touches the net. She's got height down, 2 touched by the Bulldogs. Another point for Block Island. So 2 more out of the timeout for Block Island. Timeout to the Bulldogs again. Coach Beal is not happy at the moment. I had a feeling that time of the game multiplied by the fact that Block Island comes in from so far in their record, the Bulldogs may have overlooked them a bit. The beauty of a best-of-5 series is you can kind of snap out of that early on. They still hold a 2-point lead. We're still not even halfway through game one. So obviously there's no need for concern at the moment. There's a lot of timing in volleyball to wake yourself back up. But you don't want to give any team any more motivation or momentum. And right now we have a very motivated Hurricane team coming out of a timeout. Number 4, Veldman Wilson, the senior, is an excellent player thus far, serving and on the net. Coviello serve to the back line. Gencarelli bumps, set by Storr. Federico with a spike to the back, too far back. And that's the 11th point for the Hurricanes. 12-11 game. And the junior from Block Island, Campbell Coviello, serving. Junior lefty, I might add. Handled by Bruno. Bump set to Federico. Soft spike over. Wilson handles. Set. Spike attempt. Handled by Riddler. Bump back to nobody really. Storr dumps it back over. And that's what Block Island has to do. Beautiful job of getting to the ball by Gencarelli. Out of bounds it goes. And we are tied, folks. From what was once 11-4 is now 12-12. Doing the math, that's a 7-1 run by Block Island. And that's a line drive serve out of bounds. The Bulldogs needed nothing less than that, let me tell you. They've utilized 2 timeouts to try to break this streak. And finally, an unforced error on Block Island will give the Bulldogs a serve. In the game comes Peliquin. Gervasini gets a rest. And Federico at the serve. Deep side, handles it out of bounds. And brought it back in for the Bulldogs. And they make the play at the net. And it's going to be a Bulldog point. 2 hits by the Hurricanes. So the Bulldogs, 14-12 now, back up by 2. Federico really like the glue for the Bulldogs. Always wherever you need someone to be, that you'll find her. And Block Island able to get it back over. Not really getting to an offensive right there. Federico able to find the hole in the middle of the Hurricane defense. She does a great job as far as service return, can handle the best of servers, which seems to be the most pivotal spot the Bulldogs find themselves in need of. And the serve down the middle handled by Wilson. Set by Weber. And the spike attempt falls on the Bulldog side, and there Peliquin knocks it back over. Hurricanes all the way back to the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs again almost able to find a spot on the floor, but can't. The Hurricanes doing a great job here. And they set, and the spike attempt by Crawford in the air for the Bulldogs. And Beal handles it. Set at the net for the Hurricanes. They dump it over. Federico bumps straight up. Beal with the bump off the net and off of number 8, Weber's hands of the Hurricanes. Huge point, longest volley of the day. Not necessarily the cleanest. Block Island really doing a great job of getting into an offense from the defense. Bulldogs point 16-12, and nobody there for Block Island reaches in for the return. A little bit flustered. The Bulldogs now that quickly back up to a 5-point cushion, 17-12. This time they're eking their way closer to 25. Nice serve on the far side by Federico. Nice set by the Islanders. And a beautiful soft spike by the Hurricanes. That was number 8 for the Hurricanes. Callie Weber, the junior, very active tonight for the Hurricanes. Bulldogs 17, Hurricanes 13. And front spinning, and Federico handles. Store to Beal. Beal over. Handled by Wilson. Weber back to Wilson. Deep spike. Federico handles it. And again, Federico bumps. Store saves. And finds the spot. Peliquin does. And the crowd and student area is extremely excited. 18-13. Bulldogs need 7 to grab game 1 here. Coach is not happy with her players. You can see that. This is very natural what we're watching happen. And if this is how they play on their worst day, then they're in good shape here going forward. Number 16 puts it over. That is Crawford again. Beal returns it, and they are unable to handle it. Wilson with the diving effort for the Hurricanes. An excellent athlete, shaking her hand a little bit. Bulldogs 19-13 lead. Only need 6 more points for game 1. Beal at the service. The serve, line drive, hard serve, handled well by Wilson. The bump set, back to Wilson, dumps it over. Federico set straight up, and a miscommunication by the Bulldogs. Nobody grabs it, side out, 19-14. Can Block Island slow the momentum down now, chop into this lead and get themselves closer to 25. Bulldogs can't give up games like this if they are to contend for first place. Great job, as I was talking, they were playing, and they do a wonderful job of finding that open spot. They're very deceiving. You think they're going to do your normal bump set spike, and they control that third hit very well. It's all about control of their first hit, so when Federico's involved in that, good things happen. Good serve by Bruno. Weber with the spike, huge block by Pelican. Weber with the spike again. Pelican able to block it and gets put back over by the Bulldogs. Beal with the set. Pelican dinks it, and it is returned. Federico to Beal to Pelican for a 4th try. Nobody can handle it that time. 21-14. Same recipe. Formula didn't change. 4 tries in a row, was it? And the replay, what a beauty that was. Resilience on both teams. Block Island playing a heck of a first game. Bruno with the serve. And set back up for the senior Wilson. Spike back to Federico. To Beal. And that's Riddler with the spike. Beauty to the back near corner. And now momentum is fully in the hands of the Bulldogs. 3 points away from taking game 1. 22-14 we sit at. Bruno, the serve. Knuckleball. Wilson handles it. Bump set. Dumped over by number 5. Federico. To Beal. Back to Simmons. Number 10, Coviello handles it. Wilson, spike, bumped straight back over Federico. What a great job, and they can't handle it on the Hurricane side. Side out point to the Bulldogs. They need only 2. Bruno at the serve for the Bulldogs. Can they get 2 out of Bruno and end game 1? And the serve handled by Wilson. Spike. Bulldogs touch it a little bit and are able to dump it back over. Returned by the Hurricanes. Beal with the set. Riddler, spike attempt, a beauty. Bumped all the way back over for the Bulldogs. Hit straight back by the net by Wilson. And Block Island can't handle it. Simmons with the spike. Game point for the Bulldogs, 24-14. Game 1 on the line here. Block Island calls a timeout, and they need 12 straight to win this, where the Bulldogs just need 1. So, as they go into timeout, I will say we are Westerly Live, a product of Nomad Web Solutions from the mind of Shane Belanger. Cutting-edge web design and development, live streams, weddings, memorials, fundraisers, board meetings. Go to nomadweb.solutions. If you're in the market, buying or selling, whatever it may be, Mark Wright, maybe your realtor, Coldwell Banker, Coastal Homes, your satisfaction is Mark's first concern. Consider Mark for all your housing needs. buying or selling, market analysis, whatever it may be. As the Bulldogs break the huddle after watching the game, you may want to head downtown Pawcatuck, C.C. O'Brien Bar and Grill. Excellent food, great atmosphere. Block Island using every second of their timeout. And the horn puts them back on the court. The numbers just don't play for them here. Down 10, 24-14. We played a 25, win by 2. Shows there's no quit in these athletes. That's what makes high school sports a beautiful thing. Bruno doesn't like the toss and will redo. And game 1, the serve's up. Bumped in the spot. Hurricanes dump it back over. Handled by Federico to the net. Beal puts it over. It's at the net. And the Hurricanes can't handle it. And the Bulldogs jump from the bench and they take game 1. That's a wrap. So in the best of 5 series, it is 1-0. Bulldogs lead. Bulldogs can't afford, as I was saying earlier, to go into any of these games with that attitude and possibly come out with a loss. Obviously, there's plenty of teams challenging. 4 teams mainly, I would say at the moment, are actively challenging. And clearly Central Falls with only 1 blemish, but a victory over the Bulldogs. As we're going to go to a quick commercial between games here, and we will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We are in between game 1 and game 2 of this best of 5 matchup between your very own Bulldogs and the Hurricanes of Block Island. Hurricanes playing a good game 1. The final really didn't show how difficult it was for the Bulldogs, really all the way up to that 14-point mark. And the Bulldogs separated themselves and took game 1. This could have played as a trap game, as I was explaining, but the Bulldogs can't afford any league losses. They do have the opportunity to play all of these teams again. They have Central Falls, the leader, due to the tie-breaking win over the Bulldogs in game 1, week 1. Middletown with 2 losses, just barely trailing. Situate with 1 loss. They play all of these teams still yet to come. Central Falls, Big Red Circle or Excellent Star, whatever you want to say, for the Bulldogs. After today, the Bulldogs head to Central on the 1st of October, and then the big one versus Central Falls away at Central Falls on October 5th at 6:30 p.m. That's the tiebreaker for the division at the moment. We have a lot of games to play in the season, only about a third through, so it's early to be talking about anything like that. And we will be with you guys again with our listeners, Westerly.live at Salad Jerry Field Friday night for a women's soccer game. Women's soccer team having a heck of a season, having only lost their first game as well. That is a Friday night. The horn goes off. Bulldogs are on the court. And the Hurricanes are breaking. So here we go. We'll start game 2. Bulldogs will start with serve. Number 4, the senior, Amira Veldman Wilson, really a great player for the Hurricanes, all over the court. Only got 1 opportunity to serve. 1 or 2 opportunities. Playing in the back corner here to start, but really all over the place she plays. And the coach switching things around a little bit. We got the lineup set. He's happy. And now the official will come around. Just getting through a little paperwork here. so we can get started in game 2. Coach Beal hoping for the Bulldogs to have a little cleaner output this game. Was not happy with game 1, judging by animation on the sidelines and the need to call 2 timeouts. Whatever she said in that second timeout, Block Island did not score another point. So hopefully they carry their magic along. Beal set to serve for the Bulldogs. And there's the whistle. Here we go, folks. Game number 2. And we are alive. And number 8, back set. Wilson has to dump it over. Handled and brought over by Pelican. Number 8 to Wilson. Federico bumps. Set by Beal. Pelican spikes. Number 8 can't handle it for the Hurricanes. Point to the Bulldogs, so they open with a 1-0 lead. And we need a volleyball. Only thing missing here. And here it comes. And the serve by Beal. Far side handled by Wilson. Set right back over to that side. Number 7 doesn't get it over the net. 2-0 Bulldogs. The one thing the Bulldogs can do is not only steal game momentum, but they can steal match momentum as well. Block Island has to travel a great deal, obviously, for their games, and waiting is part of traveling. Beal with the serve. Set by Wilson. Number 7 with the spike attempt. Bumped by Federico. Brought over by Simmons. Set by number 8 Weber. Handled beautifully in the back by Riddler. Federico with the bump. Beal with the set. Bruno brings it over. Dumped by Wilson. And would have gone out of bounds. Federico said no. Simmons didn't hear. Point goes to the Hurricanes. First point of the game. So everybody a little bit out of sync on that volley, including myself. And the serve deep, handled by Riddler. Pelican with the lob over. Weber sets, but it's on the Bulldog side. Pelican with a spike attempt, handled by the Hurricanes, who come right back. Out of bounds, spike by the Hurricanes. Bulldogs take the point and the side out. 3-1. And that's going to be Ari Fazaro, the senior, set to serve for the Bulldogs. And that's not going to do it, and that's a quick side out. 3-2 score. Serving for Block Island is number 16, Rory Crawford, senior. And the Bulldogs get another freebie, and that's the side out. And the Bulldogs with a 4-2 lead. Bulldogs with a 1-0 lead. Ciccarelli set to serve, making her first appearance here in game number 2. Nice serve, handled by Wilson. Kept on the near side. Set really wasn't there. Off balance attempt by Block Island to get it over. Point to the Bulldogs, 5-2 lead. And Ciccarelli looks for 2 in a row. And it's a beauty. Set back a little bit. Wilson, little miscommunication, goes for the spike, but has to do it over one of her teammates. Goes into the net for the Bulldog point. 6-2 the score here. And the serve by Ciccarelli to the backside, handled. Number 5 bumps it, and number 8, Weber. Beautiful spot. Just a dump to the back line. Ciccarelli wasn't sure. Kind of halfway went for it. Inbounds it goes. Point to Block Island, side out. And they were set to serve. It will be number 15, Cora Ryan, only a sophomore, serving for the Hurricanes. And that's not going to make it. Bulldogs will get the free side out. 4 of the Bulldogs' 7 points are on service faults by the Hurricanes. And Store serving, and that's a beauty just over the net. Great job by the Hurricanes, diving attempt. Beal, nice job, tries to dump it over the front line of the Hurricanes. Their block into the net, it goes. Bulldogs point, 8-3 lead, game 2. The sophomore, Store, serve this time higher and deeper and a beauty and set to Wilson. This is going to be a spike attempt. Mistimes the hit. Bulldogs fortunate. 8-5. Finds a tough spot. There's a whistle. I think that was an inadvertent whistle. I think the official mistakenly blew the whistle there. There we go. Points taken off the board. So we do have an 8-5 game here. Wilson serving. Beal's bump. Set. Two hands by Giacarelli. Not sure really where she was going with that. Had teammates waiting on a free hit, but 8-6 now. Thins out their lead and allows Wilson, their best all-around player, to serve. And that served just over the net. Giacarelli's bump goes back over, and the Hurricanes send it right back over. Beal tries to find the spot and is able to. The Hurricanes can't return it. 9-6, and the Bulldogs will take the serve again, and it will be Riddler. Sarah Riddler is a senior for the Bulldogs, serving here with a 9-6 advantage. And the serve, Wilson doesn't handle it very well, but they are able to return it. Store with the set to Beal. Spike, and that's going to be good. As their attempt for it, the Hurricanes goes the wrong direction. Bulldogs 10, Hurricanes 6. Bulldogs with the serve. It'll be the senior Riddler for 2 in a row. Constant instruction on the court by the coach for the Bulldogs. Got to be learning at all times. And spiked by the Hurricanes. Can't handle it for the Bulldogs. And that is Bailey Payne, only a sophomore. Great job with the spike. And let's see who's set to serve for the Hurricanes. That's number 10, Campbell Coviello. The junior has had success at the service. She's a lefty, if I remember correctly. And that she is. Just over the net. No communication, no movement. Bulldogs let it go. That is an ace, folks, 10-8. That is a clean-cut ace from hand to ground. Only trailing by 2, 10-8. The serve to the back line. Hey, couldn't handle it, Gervasini. And that's another ace, 10-9. And the lead for the Bulldogs is all but disappeared again. Substitution. Out goes Fazaro. In comes Bruno. 10-9. Game 2 here. Campbell Coviello, the serve. Lefty, sort of handled by the Bulldogs. Store able to dump it back over. Number 8 sets. And Riddler bump. Ooh, no communication. And Beal hits at the last second. Store and Beal had a little problem there deciding. And the Bulldogs call a timeout as we now have a tie game. 10-10, game 2. No quitting these Hurricanes, let me tell you right now. So you can take the first 10 away. Now it's a race to 15. Bulldogs hold a 1-game-to-none lead. Coach Beal with the minute timeout trying to change the flow of things. She's been right up on the court all day today, constantly instructing her team, not allowing for that trap game to develop. That's what I mean when I say that a volleyball gives you an opportunity to catch yourself if you're slipping and stop, right the ship. Bulldogs obviously get that first win in game 1. That's a beautiful foundation in case anything is to go awry. If the Bulldogs play their game, they shouldn't lose one today. That's my opinion. We've seen a good amount of them this season, and I think their coach would agree with that, and I think their players would agree with that. And that is nothing, says nothing negative about their opponent whatsoever. But if they want to challenge for the state, these are the games you got to win. Campbell, the serve. Gervasini bumping for her life, and it is returned quickly. Handled by the Bulldogs. Federico puts it back over. Set at the net. Spike to the back line. Gervasini handles it. Store to Federico with the spike. And Wilson can't handle it. Federico goes right out their best player. And she can't handle it. 11-10 score. And now Federico will take service for the Bulldogs. So Block Island was looking for their first lead of game 2 here. Bulldogs wouldn't let it happen. Now with the 1-point advantage and the serve by Federico. Knuckleball down the middle. Straight bump by Wilson. Set at the net. Bulldogs attempt to block, goes into the net. Quick side out just like that. And we are just tied up again. Number 8 set the serve. Callie Weber for the Hurricanes. Extremely active up around the net for Block Island. We have the whistles and we have the serve. Federico with the bumps. Set by Store. And that is going to be deep for the Hurricane point. And that was Summer Bruno with the spike attempt for the Bulldogs. Weber serving. And the serve is going to go out of bounds. And after getting their first lead for the night, the serve goes wide. Bulldogs with the side out and tie game 12-12. We are halfway through game 2, all locked up. Bulldogs pulled away in game 1. Beal to serve. A liner handled by number 5. Wilson bumps it back over. Federico with the bump to Beal. Spiked by Pelican. Block Island handles it. Has to dump it back over though. Federico. Nice control. Beal catches him off guard and grabs the point and the lead for the Bulldogs. 13-12 Bulldogs lead. Beal serving. So here we go with a 1-point advantage. Nice forward spin, great height. Up into the stands they go. Talk about no quit. That is one hell of an effort by number 7 there. That was Haley Conan, the freshman, that goes up into the stands and gets a hand on the ball. Bulldogs 14, Hurricanes 12. And the serve by Beal down the middle. And that's number 8. Weber handles it. Deep spike attempt. Handled. Bump attempt went into the net by the Bulldogs, but they are able to return. Federico with a bump straight back over. Riddler bumps to Beal. Pelican with a dink. And it is put into no man's land by Weber. The return off of Pelican's hand to the back corner. Nobody there for the Bulldogs. 14-13, Block Island serving. And that'd be number 5. That serve's not going to make it. And the Bulldogs freebie again. I haven't kept account all the way, but I know at least 7 points have been off faulty serves by the Hurricanes. And that is Bruno's serve, a beauty. 16, Crawford sets it for the Hurricanes to knock it over. Beal sets to Simmons. Tries to find a soft spot, does. Good job overall by the Block Island. The Bulldogs right back at him. Pelican spike is returned, as is Wilson's by Federico. Bruno to Beal to Riddler. And that should have fallen in. It's called out. Goes to Block Island. Faster than the eye can see. Really close call on that one. 15-14. Big call on that one. Serve. Bulldogs can't handle it. We are tied up. And the serve goes to the Bulldogs. Again, the Bulldogs are making a living off of Block Island's service errors. They really are. They're in the vicinity of half of their points have come on unforced service errors. But they find themselves with a 1-point lead and only 9 needed. Gervasini's serve is a beauty. And they can't handle that one, let me tell you. Great spot, great height, great spin. Excitement, a little bit of it starting to mount here for the Bulldogs. Get that after school time wiped off of them Not used to playing games at this time, the Bulldogs, at all. A good serve handled by Gervasini. Wilson, spike attempt. Into the net it goes. 18-15 Bulldogs. And the defense was there waiting in case it did go over the net for the Bulldogs. And no spin whatsoever for Gervasini. Barely handled by Block Island. Bump set by the freshman. Brought over Gingarelli with the bump set. Beal tries to handle it over the front line and does. Somebody touches the net on Block Island. 4 hits called, actually. 19-15 Bulldog lead. Gervasini set to serve. And it's handled by Wilson. Close to the net. Didn't do much but dink it. Put back over by the Bulldogs. Weber to Wilson. Huge spike. Great job by Bruno to return that spike. That was almost well faster than the eye can see. Controlled, handled. And that is demoralizing. If a team can return that, that's pretty much the best you got, let me tell you. That was a rocket the Bulldogs just returned. They earned that point. 20-15 Bulldogs. Set back to Wilson. Tries to bump it deep. Goes too deep. 21-15. Momentum starting to creep in the way of the Bulldogs. And the Hurricanes call timeout. So the Bulldogs have stolen momentum. Just like last game in Game 1, it was back and forth all the way to 14 points. Game 1, they were tied at 14. The Bulldogs went on their run, separated themselves, and went on to win by several points, 7 I believe. And again, this game, Bulldogs tied at 15. Both teams in it, and now the Bulldogs on a 6-point run and looking to close it out, only 4 points away. So games have gone in very similar fashions without question. The Hurricanes been able to hang around and even hold a little bit of a lead back and forth all the way, I'd say, a little over halfway through the matches, and then the Bulldogs finally get it together and pull away. That is not something they're going to have the luxury to do against some of the upcoming matches for the remainder of the season. Obviously, in two games from now on the 5th of October will be their first true test. But you can't overlook anybody, and they play Central on the 1st. We have the horn, so we will be live momentarily. We are back live. And the serve is going to be a beauty. I thought it was going to go out, but it didn't. And Gingarelli handles the return. Beal to Simmons. Nice touch by Simmons, but hits the net. Block Island is going to get the point. So it's a side out, and it's going to go to Block Island, number 15. That's going to be Cora Ryan, the sophomore. Set to serve. And a high lob, handled by Bruno. Beal with the set, and put over by Riddler. Returned. Wilson to the back line. Super spike. 21-17 score. The Hurricanes only trail by 4. The Bulldogs chasing a number. They need 4. And number 15 to serve again. Ryan, only a sophomore for the Hurricanes. Nice lob to the side. Handled by Bruno. Federico with the spike, puts it away. Block Island can't handle it. You are not allowed to use the back wall. That's about the only thing you can't use in the gym is the back wall. 22-17 score. Goes up into the rafters and takes some tricky bounces on these women, but it is live, if anybody did not know. Serving for the Bulldogs, Alexa Storr, the multi-sport athlete. Beautiful serve down the middle. Handled by Weber, number 4. Wilson, back line. Federico spike, tries to put it down. Third hit, and there isn't one. Great job by Federico for the Bulldog point. 2 points away, 23-17. So Block Island back in a hole here, need 8 in a row. Store to serve. All you really want to do is put it in bounds now. And to the freshman, to number 10, boards it back. Bruno to Beal. Federico with the overhand, puts it deep. Block Island just bringing it back, has to dump it over. Federico handles it. Store sets Federico back. Spike down but handled. Wilson set. And they set over the net. Beal puts it back on Block Island side. They keep it up. Wilson, spike, backside. Gencarelli, beautiful job. And it goes off of Beal's hand. Mistimes it. Stays on Wesley's side. A great volley. A big volley for the Hurricanes. If they're going to work off anything, a little moral victory on that volley is something to work off of. And their best athlete at the serve. 23-18. They trail by 5. Missile for a serve off the back wall. Bulldogs can't handle it. 23-19. Here we go. Will they do it? It is definitely a possibility. Sports, anything with a round ball can go any which way. And again, this overhand server for a missile. Far side, handled by Bruno. Store tries to catch him off guard and kind of does. And they just have to dump it back over. Handled by Store, set by Beal to Federico. That's a combination you want. Wilson can't handle it. Quick side out, Bulldog serve, game point. 24-19. And now to stay alive, the Hurricanes need 7 in a row. And that's it. That's the bottom line. If the Bulldogs score 1, they win. And the Hurricanes need 7, including this one. Riddler, the senior, serve for the game. And the set, the freshman dumps it over for the Hurricanes. Store with the bump over. And the game goes to the Bulldogs as the return goes out of bounds. I just want to make sure. Goes out of bounds for the Hurricanes. And the Bulldogs have now taken game 1 and game 2 of this best of 5 series. Only need 1 more to clinch the match for the game, for the day. And it's kind of weird. Both games are a little bit of a mirror of each other. Back and forth, literally back and forth to the point. All the way up to 14 and 15 points. They were tied in both game 1 and game 2. And then the Bulldogs seemed to tighten their bootstraps and pull away from both games. Block Island, the coach is talking to the officials. Something to do with the net play. I can see that much. Wants her to be attentive towards something that the Bulldogs are doing. Block Island does have a good squad, and they're a no-quit team for certain. Definitely an uphill battle here, needing to win 3 games in a row against the number 2 Bulldogs in the state here. Really tied with the number 1 team, Central Falls. We are 2 minutes away from a return to action, and we are going to run to break. to Federico Gymnasium, folks, in Game 3. What could be the clinching game for the Bulldogs here in varsity volleyball action. I will say, during the break, I watched Block Island, who are now huddled up as a team, waiting for the officials. I watched them during the break, and I saw a lot of what you're seeing right now. And it's funny that they're doing it as I talk about it. Man, that is great heart, and that's why I love high school sports in general. And I know that Westerly Sports has no lack of team and sportsmanship. That's what it's all about, really. You wouldn't have known coming out of the break that they're down 2 games to none on their trip. They're still 100% going forward with it, and it just caught my eye. It really did, and that's something I see out of the Bulldogs on a regular basis across most of their sports, I must say. That's something Westerly coaching does instill, and it transfers into a good product on the court or the field or wherever it may be. That being said, I look down and somebody caught a volleyball to the head here on the sideline. Seems to be okay with it, and the whistle goes. We are going to start game 3. Number 8 with the serve, Callie Weber, the junior. Set up by Simmons. The bump set, Pelican, overhead, back line. Set up by Block Island. This will be Wilson. That's out of bounds. Bulldogs get point number 1. You're not going to see any point, I don't think, in this game that they're just going to quit on you. So the Bulldogs are going to have to put together at least 3 complete games to get a victory today. And that serve is to the side. Wilson handles it. They're going to have to just dump it back over. That's Weber with the dump back to Riddler. Close to the net. Nice job by Beal, but it is brought back. Federico puts it up. Beal set. Spike attempt by Pelican. Handled by the Hurricanes. Weber over to Federico. To Beal. And that's going to be Fazaro, and it goes out of bounds. Block Island, and we're tied at 1 here. So, Bulldogs looking to wrap things up quickly here tonight. I'm telling you, if you didn't look at the scoreboard, you wouldn't know that. You really wouldn't. And it is number 5, Chloe Weber, the senior. And put down and out of bounds by Pelican, very close. The overhand deep spike attempt. She generally has very good marksmanship and was on the spot there too. It was very close, but it was out of bounds as the replay displayed. Simmons, spike off the net, pops up, and the freshman, number 7, Conant, handles it for the Hurricanes. Beal sets up Simmons, tipped off the block, and Pelican puts it straight down. Point goes to the Bulldogs side out. So the Bulldogs will track down the ball and serve with a 2-2 tie here in Game 3. I am the voice, Greg Morano, alongside producer-owner Shane Belanger. We have Lisa behind the lens. Together we are Westerly.live. And the serve by Fazaro in ace for the Bulldogs. 3-2. We are a product of Nomad Web Design from the mind of Shane Belanger. Cutting-edge website design and development. Live streams, weddings, memorials, fundraisers, board meetings. Just go to nomadweb.solutions. Fazaro serve, handled backward by Wilson, and they bump and dump. Weber from the Islanders, and Beal overhand tries to put it to the back line and does. And the freshman, number 7, goes over into the net, unable to return it. Bulldogs point 4-2, and they will take the serve. It will be Fazaro serving for the Bulldogs. Fazaro, one of the 4 seniors the Bulldogs have. Wilson brings it up, and now Wilson spike attempt into the net. And the Bulldogs will take the point, 5-2. And the whistle. And that serve's not going to make it. 5-3, and there'll be a side out for the Hurricanes. And you always have to wonder, like I said, last game, the Bulldogs pulled away. Block Island ended up with 19 points about midway through. The Bulldogs pulled away, but about half of the Bulldogs' points were on serve. Federico brings it up to Beal. Pelican tries to put it down, hits the net, and it needs to go over. Mistimed spike attempt does get to the other side, though. The Bulldogs unable to return it in 3 hits. Point goes to Block Island, 5-4. service errors is what I was saying for points the Bulldogs benefited from. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. They have the 2 wins and are looking for the match victory. And on the back line, Federico dumps it over from the back line. Set up near the net, and that's a beautiful job by Peliquin. The official pointing in the wrong direction to start. That's almost a double block there, and the Bulldogs with a side out and point, 6-4. And Peliquin will get a rest. On the front line, we have Riddler, Federico, and Simmons. We got Beal and Fazaro on the back, and Giancarelli serving. For the Bulldogs, off the net, beauty, ace. Can't do better than that. Impossible to return. And the replay shows there's no player that's going to get to that location. Giancarelli, an excellent server. Deep to that side. Good speed. Set really nowhere, but have to dump it over. And now Wilson able to put enough speed on her spike attempt. Bulldogs can't handle it. Side out, 4-block island. Substitution, out goes the freshman. In comes Cora Ryan, the sophomore. Straight to the service spot for the Hurricanes. 7-5 game 3. Best of 5 match to serve. The lob was just over the net. Bulldogs able to handle it. Federico back to Simmons. Soft spike attempt. Weber set. Wilson's spike. Bulldogs handle it backwards, and Beal tries to dump it over. Doesn't get the height over the net. So the Bulldogs really unable to recover from Wilson's spike attempt. 7-6. So nothing different or surprising going on here in game 3 that we did not see in game 1 or 2. We see a kind of sloppy Bulldog team. In the end, coming up with some points. That serve goes off the net. Bulldogs able to handle it. And that serve is going to be, what is the call? It's going to be inbounds for the Bulldogs. And that is off the hand of Federico. And as the replay shows, yes, a piece of the line is good. So the point for the Bulldogs, 8-6. More importantly, they get to serve. And Storr, the sophomore, going to serve. Try to give him a little room. First, all 3 games thus far, back and forth in the first half. Nice serve by Storr. Wilson set up, goes with the dink. Worked perfectly. Federico and Beal both off their feet for the block. Got the ball in between the defenders and the net. Quick side out, quick point, 8-7. About midway through the first 2 games, the Bulldogs pull away. To start to get into their offense a little more. They do get into their offense there. It's Federico with the spiking end of the offense. The Hurricanes can't handle it. Quick side out and point, 9-7. It's going to be Riddler, the senior, serving for the Bulldogs here. Bulldogs are playing for the match. Block Island playing for the game, game being singular. Bulldogs needing their 3rd game to win the match. Weber to number 5 on the far end. Giancarelli with the bump into the stands. And the Bulldogs can't return it. Score to Block Island. Side out, 9-8 score. Again, nothing new here in game 3. Back and forth, point here, point there. It's kind of what team hangs on and what team makes the first error. And then as the game goes on, the Bulldogs seem to tighten the clamps a little bit. Either that or Coach Beal calls timeout and does it herself. Nonetheless, you have number 10, the lefty, a good server for Block Island. And the set to Federico. Spike attempt, the Block Island attempted to block it, went off the net. They do return, however. And Storr, Beal's going to have to just dump it back over. Out of bounds it goes. And here we are, tied up at 9. We've been here before. These girls have done this. Seems like something a little bit familiar. What a resilient Hurricane squad we have here. And a nice serve. That's Campbell Coviello. Federico puts it down in the back corner. One of her favorite spots. One of the most difficult spots to return from. Prized real estate. Speaking of which, Mark Wright could be your realtor. Coldwell Banker, Coastal Homes. The service by Federico. Bumped close to the net. Number 8 tries to catch him off guard. Nice play by Wilson. Beautiful return by Beal to where Wilson would have been an open spot in the defense. Bulldogs with 11 and the ball. Federico will go to serve now for the Bulldogs. And that serve is going to go down deep side, handled. Wilson bumps to the middle, and Weber. Pelican straight back with it. Federico gets him into an offense store with the set. Pelican with the spike attempt, handled in the back. Number 5 with the spike attempt for Block Island. Out of bounds, Bulldogs point. 12-9 lead for the Bulldogs. The whistle, the serve by Federico. Set by Wilson. Number 5, that's Weber. And it's good. The spike attempt gets down for the Hurricanes, 12-10. We have a few more points here before there'll be any separation, if this is anything like it is in the first 2 games. And it really looks eerily identical. The serve by Weber. Riddler straight over. Weber puts it to the backside. Federico sets it towards the net. And 2 touches by Storr. Point to the Hurricanes, 12-11. If the Bulldogs are able to pull out game 3 here, this definitely will go down as one of their hardest working 3-game sweeps they've been involved in, I would imagine. Bulldogs return it. Awkward offense, but a good spot they hit. Unbelievable return by Block Island, still live in play. Pelican puts it to the back line. Wilson bumps it over and out of bounds by the Hurricanes. The Bulldogs needed that. Substitution, out goes Storr, in comes Simmons. Beal at the serve, 13-11, game 3. Bulldogs lead 2-1 in this best of 5 matchup. Women's volleyball here at Federico Gymnasium. Beal's serve set to the freshman number 7, can't return it. Score goes to 14-11, Bulldogs advantage. Bulldogs come into the game on a 5-match winning streak. Season total of a 5-1 record, having lost their only game being game 1. Weber sets it. Spike attempt returned by the Bulldogs into the net. So Block Island will take the point, 14-12. And neck we are here in game 3. So the Bulldogs come in 5-1. Same record as first place Central Falls. Head-to-head, however, Central Falls were game 1 victors versus Westerly. Simmons comes in with the spike, and they can't handle it. Just what they needed. The quick slide out and another point is what the Bulldogs needed. You can't keep letting these women hang around. They're going to steal a victory. Fusaro serving. And it doesn't get there, and that's a freebie. Unforced error by the Bulldogs. They don't capitalize. So here we are, Block Island still right in it, 15-12 score. And you got to know that the players on the court, it's a lot more work if they don't take care of it in 3. And they would love an easy victory. There's not even close to an easy victory here. Pelican does a good job, but the Block Island Hurricane hits the net. Point goes to the Bulldogs. I thought it was going to get called on the Bulldogs. We have a substitution, and it did not. Block Island had already hit the net. Out goes Pelican. In comes Gencarelli to the serve. An intentional substitution there. Gencarelli service in deep play. So the Bulldogs 9 points away from a quick game. Set by Weber, wrong side of the net. Handled by Simmons, out of bounds. Quick slide out. That would have been a quick pop point for the Bulldogs, but as I was saying earlier, nothing has come easy whatsoever for the Bulldogs. It would just turn into a lot more work for them if they do not pull out a victory here in game 3. Because I see in front of me a very persistent and resilient Block Island squad. And their serve, handled by Federico over the net to a good spot. Great job returning it. Gervasini with a nice job saving it, and Beal dumps it back over. Again, the Bulldogs sloppy, but do return it. Spike attempt, tipped by the Bulldogs. They're going to have to get it over. And they don't. And that makes it a 1-point game here. Last game, we were tied 15-15. First game, 14-14. Is it going to be 16-16 this game? Do we go a point further? I don't know. Stay tuned. Here we are. And we have the whistle. And we're ready to go. Serving is Cora Ryan. The sophomore lob just over the net. Beal handles it, returns. Weber sets, spike, blocked by Wilson's spike attempt is blocked. However, she returns it and the Bulldogs are unable to set a return. And yes, 16 to 16. It is. Timeout by the Bulldogs. Coach Beal does not want to give up this game. There is no question she doesn't want any part of another game versus this Block Island squad. Because give this team, these young women, any momentum, and I can absolutely see them capitalizing on it. I mean, they're definitely not tired, and they play in a more loose manner. Westerly is trying to get into their offense and doing better, obviously, in the back half of every game they've played, and they're going to need it here in Game 3. If you're just joining us, we are Westerly.live. It is Game 3, best of 5 women's volleyball action here at Federico Gymnasium. Game 1 and Game 2 went to the Bulldogs, but not easily, as Block Island was tied with the Bulldogs in both games. Game 1, 14-14, Game 2, 15-15, and here we are, Game 3, 16-16. So Block Island has momentum, has the serve, and has a tie game. Number 15 set to serve. Bulldogs have a 2-game-to-none lead. They're coming out of a timeout. Their Coach Beal, I'm sure, was quite assertive with her women. And the serve, the lob. Tough one to handle, and well done by Simmons. Set forward by Beal. Spiked by Riddler, and it is out of bounds. Block Island point, and they take a lead. There is more pressure here on the Bulldogs than there is on Block Island, without a doubt. The serve, handled by Gingarelli. Set by Beal to Simmons. Soft spike to the back line. It's a good bump. Weber to Wilson. Spike, sliding save by Fazaro. All the way over to Riddler, and out of bounds. Block Island with a 2-point lead. 18 to 16 as they continue to serve. 2-point lead here. And the serve towards the middle, handled by Simmons. Set by Beal, back to Simmons. Tries to find a spot open, set right up on the net. Out of bounds it goes. No touch, Bulldogs point. Waiting for the official. And it is Bulldogs point. Huge side out by the Bulldogs. Store, the sophomore, serving, trailing by 1. Serve in deep, bumped. Weber with the bump set. Wilson with a deep soft spike, handled by Fazaro. To Store, to Riddler right into the net. The unforced error by the Bulldogs. 19-17. And here comes Wilson with the serve. I'll tell you right now, you don't want this one to get into a rhythm. We need a quick side out here, folks. Serve deep, and they let it go. Wisely, Fazaro was thinking about it. Wisely, huge turnaround right there for the Bulldogs. Wilson is dangerous at the serve for certain. Unable to get anything for Block Island. Definitely frustration there, a little bit I can see. And now Riddler, the senior serve. Handled by Block Island. They have to dump it back over. Gingarelli with the bump. Store sets to Beal. Beal, spike attempt to the middle. For the point, we're tied back up again. And the Bulldogs score. Riddler serving the senior. Both teams 6 points away here. 19-19. 25 win by 2. They don't get any better than this, folks. Riddler serve. Deep down the middle. Tried to handle by Wilson. Went backwards. Dumped back over. Gingarelli with the bump. Store with the set. It's going to be over the net. And they spike it down. That is Block Island by them. Bailey Payne, the sophomore, with the point. Gets it between the Bulldog defense and the net. 20-19 score here in Game 3. 2-game-to-none lead for the Bulldogs. The number 10 lefty, Campbell Coviello, has done a great job tonight serving for the Hurricanes. Near a jump serve set by Riddler. At the net, Federico tries to find her spot. And Campbell diving, trying to save it. Now that is a veteran move right there. Federico pretty much puts it in her own hands, literally. Places it in the deepest, darkest, furthest corner you can. and said, I want the ball back, I want the serve. It's 2020. Does Federico just take over here? The serve. Bumped near the net. They have to dump it over. Beal with the set to Peliquin. Spike. Wilson keeps it up and alive. Back set by Weber. Wilson with the bump to Beal. Store, it's up, and Peliquin finds a spot on the floor. And the first lead for the Bulldogs here in a few minutes. 21-20 Bulldogs need 4 more. Timeout by Block Island. That is veteran savvy by number 14 for the Bulldogs. That's Rachel Federico, only a junior. Got another year with her. Completely came in and takes things over like she often does. It just actually stood out even more so tonight. This game for certain. Went to the front line, took care of business, caused an immediate side out. Really with the game on the line, all momentum in the Hurricanes' favor. Didn't bother her in the least. Went from the net block point to a spike point to the serve, where she stands now with the Bulldogs in a 1-point lead. We're in a race to 25, win by 2. First 2 games were tied halfway through. This one's all the way through. There's nothing better than high school sports. There was no quit in high school sports. I mean, just listen to that over there. You have to love that. That's beyond entertaining. There's no other place I'd rather be. A little weird being here at 2:30, but I love it. It's great. And let's go to Rachel Federico with the serve. Game on the line. Game 3. Serve, deep spot. Somewhat handled by the Hurricanes. They are forced to dump it over. Set to Beal, the spike, and it goes between defenders, 22-20, 3 points in a row by the Bulldogs. Federico to serve again, 22-20. The serve, handled close to the net, forced to put it over. Beal set, two hands on the set. It's going to be a side out for the Hurricanes. 22-21 Bulldog lead. And it'll be Weber serving for the Hurricanes. Number 8 has played well today. The junior Weber. And the serve, I believe, was out of bounds. Brought back in by Riddler. Bulldogs hit the net. Tie game. Just like that. Block Island's back, 22-22. It's a race to 3 points here, folks. Win by 2 fashion, but the serve for Weber. And it's a beauty, and it's an ace. 23-22, Block Island. Timeout Westerly. This is really nothing new that's going to be taught in here in this timeout. That's completely a momentum attempt to stamp out any momentum that Block Island has. I'm not certain it's going to work. There's a lot of perseverance in red over here on this team, and a lot of frustration on the blue side at the moment that they're even in this situation. So, if you're just tuning in, we are Westerly Live, Federico Gymnasium Women's Volleyball. The 5-1 Bulldogs looking to win this match in 3 games, but I definitely don't want to say make quick work of, or if you were here, you would get it, that this has been anything but easy for the Bulldogs. They have a 2-0 lead right now. Serving Callie Weber for Block Island. The serve. And a whistle. Serve too early. So she's probably in a do-over situation or something. It's not a side out regardless, so no points scored and nothing essentially occurs. And the reserve, and she gets another set for her. So we're really going to do it this time here. Another whistle. And we go. Federico with the bump. Store sets into the net. Game point for Block Island. It's starting to look like a game 4 is possible here, folks. 24-22, the Bulldogs need 4 straight points to win this game. Handled by Riddler just over the net, though, to the backside. And Store gets it over, touches the net. Unbelievable return from out of bounds by Block Island. Block Island sets. Freshman with the bump set Black Island bumps it over deep. It'll be a side out for the Bulldogs, who are alive. They needed 4 in a row. Now they need 3 in a row. 24-23 score. Beal serving for the Bulldogs. A fault or missed serve ends the game. The serve, a beauty. Handled from the back line, set. Soft spot, and it's the win. Block Island takes game 3. Great perseverance by these Hurricanes. And the heads drop on the Bulldogs side of things. Kind of in disbelief a little bit, I think. We stand at 2-1 in this best-of-5 series. And if the Bulldogs continue to play the way they are, there's no reason for me to believe that Game 4 will be any easier for them than the first 3 have been. I'm sure Coach Beal wants them on the court working a little bit further anyway, because she has not been happy with their performance thus far in the evening, I don't believe. Just judging by the timeout, use of timeouts and animation. So we're going to go to break here, folks, and come back to you with a Game 4 in about 3 or 4 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We are live here at Federico Gymnasium, where the women's varsity Bulldogs are in action versus Block Island Hurricanes. Bulldogs jumped out to 2-0 lead. Both back and forth games, nothing easy about it. Both games were tied halfway through at 14 and one of them at 15 the other. Game 3 came around and they were tied at 16, and that was one too many points to give Block Island, who then continued to hang around, finally pulling away at about the 22-point mark and stealing a Game 3 victory. This is a very animated team, and there's no quit in this team, so the Bulldogs have to put something together. The Bulldogs weren't really in sync on offense last game. They're kind of all over the place, and Coach Beal let them know that. So let's see if they work out a few of those problems. We're going live here as soon as the official gets to her post. I had a feeling there was going to be a trap game somewhere in this match. I thought it would have happened earlier, right when they got out of class, but it happened in Game 3. Now, what's more dangerous about it happening in Game 3 is momentum. That doesn't happen too much in Game 1, but right now, I mean, these Hurricanes, they got nothing to lose. They come in with a 1-3 record, and they want nothing more than to spoil positioning for first place for the Bulldogs. So here we go. We're live, and the first serve off the net, and the Hurricanes can't handle it, and it's an ace for Beal to start. So they start all business. And serve number 2, soft variety, and put back by Peliquin. Nice job. Two completely different serve strategies, both effective. Pelican hugely effective at the net. Her reach on the replay, you can see how far above the net she actually can get. And the serve off the top of the net. So she's put 2 off of the top of the net aces and 1 lob just over the net that you couldn't handle it. As replay shows, man, that is hard to handle. So the Bulldogs out to a 3-0 lead here. And the serve to the back middle. It's bumping it, set forward, and it isn't able to get over the net. Number 7, Haley Conant, only a freshman, with a spike attempt. Has gotten a lot of action here tonight and done a nice job for a freshman for the Hurricanes. A lot of young talent on Block Island. Same for the Bulldogs. And Beal serve, looking for 5 in a row. The set, spike to the backside. Federico handles it. Beal, set to Fazaro. Handled by Wilson to Weber. And they're able to put it over on a line. Handled both times. And Beal just places it, and the Block Island can't handle it. Point will go to the Bulldogs, who start with 5 in a row. This game started with Beal served, the ball in Beal's hands, and it has not left. 5 straight points. Another beautiful serve, and they let it go, and that is in. And that is an ace, folks. Off to a 6-0 lead. And the replay, and sure enough, it is right in. Tough to handle when you get into those corners. Can't really get to that back right one. The only one successful at doing that tonight was Federico, with Wilson in front of it. The serve to Beal, and that's Wilson cutting it off in the middle. It gets too close to the net. Number 8, Weber, puts her hands out. Doesn't really know what she can do with it. Really can't do much with it. Coach is extremely frustrated on the Block Island side. All the momentum that they built up in Game 3 with the steal to win, the victory, is now kind of deflated because the Bulldogs very yeoman-like, very workman-like, pop out here in Game 4 and just motor themselves to a 7-0 lead, and they still have the serve. So trying to break a little bit of momentum here is the Block Island coach, and trying to get his team a little defrazzled, back in action a little bit. 30 seconds left in this timeout. And the Bulldogs off to a very serious start here. You can tell that Coach Beal had a talking to with him, I guess you'll put it like. And probably told them to go out and do what they needed to do and what they are capable of doing. Because the difference between good teams and championship teams is good teams dispatch their foes, and championship teams dispatch their foes, and good teams let them hang around and win most of their games, but those losses slip in by letting them hang around. So the serve goes out of bounds. It's a side out and a point for the Hurricanes. Bump set near the net. Beal puts it over for the Bulldogs. Federico lifts it up. 2 hands by Beal. Point to Block Island. So they answer out of the timeout with 2 quick points. Not sure what they're doing differently, but they're right there now. Number 5 serving. That's Chloe Weber, the senior Weber, serving for the Bulldogs. Down the middle deep. Handled by Riddler. Simmons, and no communication. Beal thought that someone was going to get it, and they didn't. I do believe it was between Beal and Pelican. No communication. 7-0 to 7-3. So the Bulldog timeout. Doesn't want to allow any kind of momentum building in this game whatsoever, you can tell. She wants her Bulldog team to play the way they can play and end this match. I don't believe they had any intentions on getting themselves involved in a 5-game match today. I don't know if you call that looking past the team or what you might call that, but I wouldn't imagine many of the players expected to play 5 games. So if they are forced to, the advantage really, I would say, in Game 5 goes to Block Island. Because they play with almighty freedom. They have nothing to lose, and they have talent on their side of the court. There's no doubt about that, but they're playing with nothing to lose, and you let them hang around long enough. They took a long trip to get here. They'll make it worth their while. So the serve by Weber. Backside handled by Riddler to Beal to Simmons into the net. Point for the Hurricanes out of the timeout. 7-4 score here in game 4. The whistle and the serve by Weber. Right down the middle. Riddler with the bump. Set. And bumped over by Fazaro. Handled by Campbell. Wilson spike. Kept in the air by Beal. Federico to Pelican. Kept up by the Hurricanes. Communication a problem, but they are able to return it. Beal bumps it to Fazaro. Unable to get it over the net. The score 7-5. You can just erase the records at this point, folks, because you would have no idea whose record is whose. I get a frustrated, annoyed vibe from the Bulldogs that they have come out here and put themselves in this spot. And Federico keeps it alive. They're going to have to put it over this time, and they do. That's a nice job by Federico, saving another point. Beautiful set. Wilson to the far side, and that's Beal who stops right back over. And then diving Beal puts it in a spot that they can't get to. Excellent play by Beal. Gives them point number 8, 8-5. I am telling you, though, this Bulldog team is very frustrated and not excited. This could work either way. If they're frustrated, they need to go on a few runs and get it done quick. And Wilson brings it back inbounds, a freebie for the Bulldogs. That was out of bounds for sure. And then Karma right back. The Bulldogs let it go, and it is inbounds. Side out. And serving for the Hurricanes is Rory Crawford, the senior. 8-6 score. No rhythm whatsoever for the Bulldogs here. And handled by Federico. Beal sets it. Spike attempt into the net by Pelican, 8-7. And we have a substitution. Summer Bruno in, Fazaro out. And the Lady Bulldogs are definitely on their heels. To the far corner, Federico goes with the last second set. Simmons looking for a spot in the back, almost found one. Weber sets it over to Weber, who bumps it out of bounds. The Bulldogs will definitely take the side out and the point. It'll be 10-7, I believe the score. 9-7 the score reads. And Gincarelli will serve for the Bulldogs. And the serve line drive handled by Wilson. Too close to the net. The Hurricanes can't get to it. Wilson frustrated. Point for the Bulldogs, 10-7. Bulldogs, all 6 of them frustrated. Trying to get themselves excited. They're really just going to have to work themselves through it in reality. Gincarelli serve, nice knuckleball down the middle. Weber to Wilson. Man, she put it down. The spike, it goes down. Quick side out. Point, 10-8. So they're going to scratch and claw their way through all night. Out goes the freshman, Conan. In comes Cora, the sophomore, to serve for the Hurricanes. Bulldogs want an immediate side out here. And it's a lob. Should be handled well. Bruno handles it. Into the net. Bulldogs are unable to get an offense together. Not sure what the delay was in picking that up. That didn't have to hit the net. Regardless, 10-9, here we are. And now it's 10-10. The serve to Federico. Federico set. Spike. Down for a point. Seems like the answer when one is needed comes from number 14 on a regular basis, as it did there. Bulldogs with the side out, 11-10. Scoreboard played a couple tricks here on this game. And the serve by Storr, just handled. Gincarelli with the bump in the back, set by Storr, a good one. Beal puts it down in the back corner. She has done a great job. I should say she's a little bit of the glue behind this squad as well. I shouldn't just say Federico, because Beal is involved in a great deal in every game all season long, and has been in this game as well. And the serve by Storr. Weber set to Wilson. Goes for the dink and the block by the Bulldogs. It's returned. Gincarelli with the bump. Set back by Storr. And the spike attempt, it works out for the Bulldogs by Federico. Block Island unable to lift the bump. It goes out of bounds. Bulldog point, 13-10. Storr serving. Bulldogs, like I said, they need runs because they're not going to win straight on emotion here tonight. And no communication forces just a dump by the Hurricanes. The Bulldogs spike attempt blocked by Beal. Giancarelli with the bump, and Federico dumps it. Tough spot. Nobody there for the Hurricanes, so Federico with the little bit of deception in a perfect spot steals the point for the Bulldogs and preserves Storr's service. 14-10 Bulldogs. Sophomore serving for her 5th straight. Somewhat handled, but not really. Point goes to the Bulldogs. Attempted set at the net, too close to the net. So Block Island not playing quite as well as the first 3 games. The serve off the net and over. That's a nice set, nice job. No communication on Block Island. A little confusion, and the Bulldog hit goes out of bounds. Block Island will take the point, 15-11. So Block Island a little discombobulated at the moment, are able to force the side out. Bulldogs are up by 4 points here in game 4. They need 10, and here's Wilson, who will have something else to say about it. Off the chest of the defense, and they are unable to handle it. Too fast for Bruno. Giancarelli tried to save it. Quick point for Block Island, and the Bulldogs need a quick side out. Westerly just looks tired. Some of them just walking around tired. Serve, that's what they needed, and that's what they got. That was the answer. Serving for the Bulldogs, the senior Riddler, who's been in plenty of situations like this before. You want it in her hands. The Bulldogs with a 4-point lead. Nice serve, knuckleball. Not handled well by Block Island. Federico overhand, and it is called out of bounds. Just out of bounds, I guess. 16-13 score of the replay. And sure enough, out of bounds it was. Not far, a game of inches, as they all seem to be in the end. Whatever sport you're talking about. Serving for the Hurricanes, Coviello. Closest thing to a jump serve, it's deep. Giancarelli handles it. Set by Storr. Federico spike, can't handle it. Quick side out from the junior. What the Bulldog doctor ordered. I guess the Bulldog doctor would be the vet. So just what the vet ordered. Federico comes through. It's going to be her serve again. 17-13. Eking their way closer to a match victory. And they don't handle it. It's going to go in as an ace. The bump doesn't get handled at all by the Hurricanes. So the 3-point for the Bulldogs and Federico. Different spot, handled by Wilson. Set by Weber, to Weber with the soft hit. Put back up by Storr, and Beal tries to catch him off guard. And Weber able to bring it back. Federico to Storr. And that's going to be Summer. Bruno with the spike and the point off the net. And the Bulldogs starting to get a little cushion, ever so close. They need 16 more. Beautiful spike. (19-3) set. Weber bumps it over, dumps, forced to, and the Bulldogs can't handle it. And it's a side out, 19-14 Bulldog lead. Serving, Callie Weber, the junior. The Weber pair has been all over the place tonight. Riddler saves a beautiful bump backwards by Storr. And the Block Island Hurricanes can't handle it. That right there was an unbelievable bump to set that whole thing up by Storr, number 18, the sophomore. Let me tell you, backwards, parallel to the net, put it in perfect set position. Beal at the serve, glad to hear it. Set to the freshman, spike attempt, a great attempt. And still in the air, Bulldogs doing a great job as Pelican was blocked at the net. Set, and that is Summer Bruno with the spike. Waiting for the signal to Westerly. It's in. A beauty, 21-14. And let's check out this replay, folks. Just over the net. And in it is. Beal would love to just end this thing to the net. The missile bumps straight up, handled by Weber to Weber. Back over, sliding, bump saved by Beal. Brought back in by Bruno. Unfortunately, she couldn't bring it in from the Bulldog side of the little red and white posts they got there. They got foul poles, what do you call them? I'll have to look that up for the next game. So, 21-15. Block Island needs to make a little bit of run here. Bumped by Federico, set to Peliquin, and they take it back real quick. And now they're excited. 22-15. Summer Bruno set to serve for the Bulldogs. 3 points away from putting this one to bed. And a 3-1 victory. Doesn't like it. This would also be their sixth league victory in a row. If they can finish. The serve by Bruno. Bumped by Weber. Brought back over by older sister Weber. Beal to Simmons. Brought back. And the freshman soft spike. Handled by Federico. Bumps back to Peliquin. To her spot in the back corner. And can they bring it over? They've hit it twice. What an unbelievable attempt by number 4, Wilson. Man, if there was an angle, you could have done it. She was 2 rows up in the bleachers. Coach is unhappy on the Block Island side. I can see that he sees the potential, but let me tell you, they've played a heck of a matchup here. Game point, match point, 24-15. The bump by Block Island. They have to return. And they do. And they get the side out they needed. You got to understand, folks, Block Island can no longer give up a point. On top of that, they need 10 in a row. So if a serve hits the net, that wraps this game up, this matchup, folks. Handled by Federico. It's over to Simmons. The spike attempt is blocked. So there's the point for Block Island, 24-17. If Block Island just had that wiggle room with maybe one more point to play with, 24 is real tough. Puts a lot of pressure on Rory Crawford, the senior here. Handled by Federico. Beal to Riddler, the senior, brought back up by Weber. Wilson spiked to the back line. Federico handles it. Brought back. Beal keeps it in the air and alive at the net. Westerly handles it. It goes to the floor, and Westerly gets the match victory. A well-played battle. In the paper, it goes down as a 3-1 victory for the Lady Bulldogs here. But let me tell you, they had to scratch and claw and fight. They had to play some of their better volleyball to capture this victory. So kudos to a Block Island squad that had no quit in them whatsoever. And a Westerly squad who earned a victory that was much needed. You can't look past teams. I don't know that they did that or not. But they did earn what turns out to be their 6th win in a row. They opened the season with the loss to Central Falls, who they will see just 2 games from now. And they will have a rematch, a very important rematch. But between now and then, they will play Central on the 1st away at Central High School. They can't look past Central. So, from Westerly.live, we're leaving the Bulldogs with a 6-1 record. Record-wise, they're tied for 1st in the state, but they are sitting in 2nd place with the victory over Block Island. And we will return to you tomorrow night at Salo Algeria Field for some women's varsity soccer action. And we are Westerly.live, and we will see you tomorrow.